Recently, I decided to rewatch one of my favorite animes from the last few years while I was doing my taxes, Gushing over Magical Girls. Now, this anime, if you weren't around whenever it first aired, was met with a lot of fanfare whenever this was released, due to a nostalgic feeling of a type of anime that a lot of people haven't experienced in quite a while. Ecchi anime. After I finished doing my taxes, I had this moment of clarity, and in that, I decided that I needed to get the creative juices flowing. And the way that I saw to do that best is to create a video essay like the big channels do, where we do a deep dive into an anime and talk about the complexities of it and over explain scenes in a very monotone voice while saying big words that we don't really understand but makes our video sound much more professional, like sarcophagus. All the while not actually saying anything that anyone with basic viewing comprehension could have picked up on their own. So today, we're going to talk about why Gushing Over Magical Girls is a modern masterpiece. The premise of Gushing Over Magical Girls may seem pretty simple from an outsider's point of view. Our protagonist is given the opportunity to be a villain for the group of magical girls in her town, a role she takes very seriously and decides not to be the standard villain and thwart their schemes in the standard way, but instead in the way she knows best, by sexually humiliating them in public. But let's take a deeper dive into the show and really understand what it truly has to offer. To really understand this show, we need to dive into the characters, because that is where we really will find the messaging that this show is trying to convey. We start off with our main protagonist, Magenta. She is a character that really is complex. Her main gimmick is that she likes to get naked in a public park and only wear pasties to cover her private parts. And if that is the only thing covering her, she is fine to fight crime. This is best shown off in the 7th scale Magenta figure from Gushing Over Magical Girls. This figure was supposed to release back in August of 2025, but unfortunately, due to tariffs and problems with our government that I won't get into today, this figure did not get to my doorstep until January of 2026. This figure is a great example of her bravery and heroic actions and lack of humiliation despite wearing the same amount of fabric that would be featured in a dog's bandana. The colors on this figure are absolutely incredible. I love the pink in her hair is slightly different than the pink in her boots and pasties and wand. It really shows how vibrant the colors are, and it contrasts very well against her bare skin that is featured without any seams. It is an incredible figure. You also have the opportunity to remove her pasties if you would like, to be able to truly show off her bravery in full effect. Now, this part of the video may seem a bit out of place, and that's because I lost the audio to the unboxing of this figure, and I really wanted to show it off considering I've waited 4 months for this figure. So instead, I decided to make this fun little video essay to show it off instead. However, real quickly, before we get back to the video essay, here's where the figure will be at in my collection. But anyway, back to the video essay. Something similar can be seen in the other magical girl offered in this show, Azure. After realizing that her humiliation fetish is just embarrassingly out of control, she decides, unlike modern protagonists who overcome their struggles with modern ways of beating it and moving on, she decides to embrace that fetish and to become one with it. This allows her to upgrade to the next level of magical girl, to where her clothes can fall off and she is not fazed at all, at least publicly. Now, to talk about our third magical girl, we really do need to dive into another villain, that being Sulphur and Kiwi. Sulphur and Kiwi have this interesting relationship to where you really never understand, do they want to kill each other or just make out with each other? We never really quite know what's going through their minds. Quite possibly both at the same time. Now, finally, we need to bring up the last villain that we're going to talk about in today's video, and that is Alice. Alice, being the youngest of the group, you would think that she would not be as bad as the others, or that she would be a bit more contained with her powers. That would be very far from the truth, because in actuality, Alice desperately wants to be a mommy to all of the girls, including making one of them into a baby so that she can feed them with a bottle, and probably wants to do much more with them. This brings us to the sponsor of today's video, Mommy Alice's breast milk, because flat just means it's fresh. Now, we can also discuss some of the other villains in this show, but it basically comes down to the same thing that we discussed with our other characters, but to a slightly different degree. There is many things to discuss whenever it comes to a series like this. Most notably, why does it exist? What fuels people to make a series like this? And to be honest, I think this also goes back to the character study that we have talked about today, and to really explain as to why all of these characters are this way, why this exists in the first place, who could create something to this effect. And I think it comes down to one simple thing. They're all horny as fuck.